Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather Matthews, and Casey Watson and I, who you can see, are thankful to be with you. We hate the circumstances, but I think as you are seeing, we can all rally together and make the best of this. I'm watching people pop in rapidly, so it's 10:30. I'm going to wait till 10:31 to start, just to give everybody 60 more seconds. You're fine with that, and then I'll have Casey and I'll introduce ourselves, and then we'll share our PowerPoint and we'll get going. All right, well, it's 10:31, so we are going to start. Both Casey and I are former working journalists who have, maybe you might call us recovering journalists, who have transitioned to the public relations and strategic communications world. And for the past several years, I have been helping to run NP Strategy. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about that, but I'd love for Casey to introduce herself. I'm in McClellanville. If you know where that is, it's just south of Georgetown on the coast. I work out of NP Strategy's Charleston office, and Casey is right there with you. Casey, why don't you tell everyone where you are?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm here in Myrtle Beach. I work out of the Myrtle Beach office, but I'm at my home today. And I joined NP Strategy in January after working at WNBF News right off of Frontage Road for almost 2 years. I'm now a media relations and content coordinator here. And I've worked with Heather and the rest of our team to develop social media strategies and look at how we can help our clients understand their clients even better. It's been a fun run. I've thoroughly enjoyed being here, and I've learned so much from Heather. I'm happy to be on this webinar with you all.
Well, and together, thank you, Case. Together, we are honored to serve the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. We've been working with them for about a year now. I mean, there is a great leadership team in place. We've been highly impressed. And so you'll hear at the end of this webinar that we're going to do something which we haven't really done before, but we're going to do it for chamber members. And part of the reason is we want to give back, but part of the reason is we think so much of the leadership at the chamber. So let's go ahead and get started now. You know, don't laugh at me. I'm the old mother hen here, and they're making me use new technology that is beyond my years, but I am going to share my screen with you. And then we are going to get started. I thought it might be helpful just so you could see the rest of us. It is more than just Casey and me here in McClellanville. That's a look at our team. We have people in 8 offices across the Carolinas. But today we're going to talk about managing the now and preparing for the future. And I think you've really got to think about both. And while these times are shocking and it seems like every day there's a new surprise, we have to remember to try to be efficient. And so if we can do steps that will help you manage the now, prepare for the future, you are going to be far ahead of everybody else in recovering from this. So the big questions: what can you be doing now and that will help you and in the future? So what is it? And secondly, how are you retooling your business to weather this virus and prepare for emerging in a new normal? Now, those of us my age, we were adults when 9/11 happened, so we remember coming out in a new normal with TSA and a whole new way of traveling. It was just overnight it changed. And I believe that will be the same case in this situation. So what can you be doing that will help you now and in the future? And then right now, how are you retooling your business to weather this virus and prepare for emerging? Because I want you to be in the starting gate, ready to launch when we can emerge. The big answers, really, I think they're pretty simple. 4 things. You need to reach in, you need to reach out, you need to retool, and you need to reinforce. 4 R's: reach in, reach out, retool, and reinforce, and all with one common denominator. All 4 of those things, you have to be authentic and honest. Never before has this been more important. And I know that at times I don't like to display my vulnerability, but we are in a season where it is so important for you to be transparent and honest, because employees and your consumers will turn your back on you if they think they can't trust you, because we need to be able to trust anyone. So I believe it is effective to communicate from your heart in these times. You need to be true to your brand and your organizational personality. I haven't been there, but I've heard about that Dick's Last Resort in Myrtle Beach. Now people are rude, like you wouldn't want someone to come on and be, you know, so sweet and nice with that brand, because that's not how they've made their business. So you need to be true to your brand and your organizational personality. You need to be honest always. And you'll be surprised at the number of times we're hired because companies have fudged on the truth or not really wanted to be honest about what's going on. And they get sideways in the media or with some stakeholders. And now is not the time for that. It's just okay to be honest and to not be embarrassed by it. We believe that you have to be open about your situation and your decisions. Not that you're going to scare your employees. You know, at times I might have butterflies in my stomach, but I'm not going to let Casey or anyone else see that. But you do need to be open about your situation and that these are uncharted waters, and that maybe you've had to already have a round of layoffs. Last week, that was one of my tasks. I had to write an email to help lay off over 100 people, and it wasn't something I wanted to do, but the COO was very open about it and told all the employees and shared some data. And those who are still there are now working hard to be able to bring back those employees, because that is their responsibility now. Let's make it through and then be able to rehire everybody. And to remember, it's okay to express empathy. We've seen a lot of that now. This morning, I just saw Volvo's new ad that said, I wrote this down, right now, the safest place to be is not in a Volvo. They're just saying it straight up. It is what it is. So in all these things we're going to talk through today, reaching in, reaching out, retooling, and reinforcing, you've got to be authentic and honest. Reaching in, first to your employees. In my world, we would call employees a stakeholder group. You might call them a target audience. You might call them a number of terms, but when we work with clients, we like them to rank their stakeholder groups and then tailor their main message to each group. And so your employees now more than ever need to hear regularly from you, not just one email on what you've been doing to retool or clean up or whatever, but this is an ongoing conversation. And you've got to set the right tone, which I think is a balance of being honest and just being calm and confident. If you're a leader, you definitely don't want to scare everybody. So I'm going to play just a portion of the email that we got last week from our boss. So NP Strategy, it's a strategic communications company owned by a larger law firm. And so I received this email as part of the family of Nixon Pruitt.
Hello, folks. Leighton here. I just want to spend a few minutes addressing the entire Nixon Pruitt family during these unprecedented times. But first, I want to thank each and every one of you for the incredible work that you're doing. I see each one of you continue to support your communities, continue to support your families, continue to support our clients, and most importantly, continue to support each other. Each one of you make me proud to be part of Nixon Pruitt every day. And second,
okay, I'm going to stop it there. It goes on. It's about 2 minutes, which is actually a little long these days. You might, if you do something like this, you might want to make it a minute 20, minute 30 maybe. But Leighton, our board chairman of Nixon Pruitt, if you see him, he is never dressed like that. But that's how we all really are dressed most days, right? Comfortable and at home. And when he told me he wanted to do this, it was the day before. And I said, okay, let's not talk about it. You go home, think what you want to say and come and say it, because I don't want it to sound scripted. I want it to be from your heart. And so he did. That was the second take. The only reason it was the second take is because the first take, someone burst out laughing in the receptionist area. But we didn't want it to look too glitz or glam. And so you can do this with your iPhone or somebody can help you do it with your iPhone. It doesn't have to be high tech, but you need to speak to your employees. And what Leighton goes on to say is, hey, it's going to be rough waters, but we've been here before. The law firm's been around 75 years. We've weathered a lot, and we all might have to sacrifice a little bit, but if it can get the whole team across the finish line, that's what's important. And, leaves us with the challenge to be safe. And that is of utmost importance. In every letter I've written this week to every governor, I've written several governors across the state for clients, that is the number one priority, our employees and keeping them safe. So reach into your employees. Also, reach into your existing customers, suppliers, and partners. We really do have the time to better connect with people. Sometimes I would deal with a supplier a lot and only text or email that person for the entire year until I got a Christmas gift from him or her, and then I would call him or her. And that is not the way we should be. And so if anything, this is just reminding me to slow down and care about people. We have, one shot at this, so let's do it right and well. Again, you need to set the right tone. Think about the tone that you want to exhibit to your customers, your suppliers, and your partners. Your customers are probably wondering the most, but the other two need you to stay open. I want you to call some and email some and repeat. Okay, again, this is a regular type of check-in, not as regular as your employees, but I would say every couple of weeks. And why do I say call some, email some? That's because when we look at stakeholder groups, we rank them and we know who's most important. And so the most important get a phone call. And you can't call everybody, so the rest get emails and then repeat. I want you to express some interest and concern in their well-being. This isn't about you reaching in. This is really about them and trying to connect. It is appropriate to update them on what your company is doing for your employees and, how you are doing. I learn from how our peers are doing, and you can learn from them as well. But I want you to ask them how you can help them, like honestly. Mark Twain, I love lots of his quotes, probably because I'm from a dirt road in Kansas, that kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. We have time now to be kind. Though we are scrambling to stay afloat, I think all of us would admit that we have the margin to be able to say, how can I help you? And to actually follow up on that. So you are reaching into your employees, to your existing customers, suppliers, and partners. For those of you in the tourism field, reaching into repeat visitors and maybe followers on your social page, I wanted to just give this a little special thought. Your chamber is different than many chambers that we serve. And so again, I encourage you to set the right tone, to call your repeat visitors if possible. And I don't know if you keep logs of people who always come back, but I am part of a family who would always go to the same place every summer, the same house if possible, the same week of the year. And if you know who they are, I encourage you to call them. You could set aside one day, or you could do 3 or 4 calls a day. It will probably boost your day because they will be so thankful that you called. Use your social channels and email to update everybody else. If nothing more, we're curious about how you're doing. The latest from the Brookings Institute that I saw, the report that was out this morning, it was in the Post and Courier. I think it actually posted late yesterday afternoon, but probably in today's print edition if you get it. Talked about the most at-risk industry sectors. A couple of them were on there that we serve, tourism being one, energy, mining. And so if nothing more, we want to know how you're doing. I want to know how to help you. So use your social channels and email to update everyone else. And what are you going to do? You're going to express interest and concern in their well-being. You're going to update them on how your company and your employees are doing. and you're going to let them know that you miss them and you're preparing for their return. I mean, for me, having the house at the place that we'd always go, if that booking agent called and said, hey, you know, we hope we see you again this summer. We know this is uncertain times, but you are missed, and we hope all is well. That will go a lot with making sure that that family tradition continues. How can you do this? Well, you can post preparation photos or video. I mean, just something as simple as cleaning up or setting a vase of flowers out, or video of the beach, or I don't know what. Be creative, but leverage your social channels. It's free. You'll see that the Myrtle Beach Chamber is doing this, posting beautiful surroundings. There's nothing better than seeing the ocean, I think, and hearing it. And that's why I live in McClellanville, because I fish. And just being out on the water is so soothing. So you have material right there. But also post words of encouragement. We took the unusual step of investing what little margin we had in an ad buy in certain areas of the state today, encouraging people just to be strong and courageous. Really, that's what we need right now, is everyone to be strong and courageous. And so if you can do that to your repeat visitors or your followers on your social channel, again, you're building this goodwill. So here's a look at what Visit Myrtle Beach Facebook and video videos that they're doing. They're both fantastic. So this was the sunrise from yesterday morning. It was a treat to get up and see that in my feed. I couldn't get the whole photo in there in my screen capture. But to the right, you'll see the video that's been running, which is sending some sunshine your way. And that's exactly that sums up exactly what we're trying to say here, which is just to send some sunshine or some encouragement the way of your target or stakeholder groups, target audiences. Now, I also had our creative team leader mock up a couple of Facebook examples, and she just put Myrtle Beach Hotel. It could be anything. It really could be a dry cleaners, right? Because I have wondered about the dry cleaning company that I use, because I think the lady at the front desk is so sweet, and I can't imagine anybody's going. And so they're not on social, but whatever your company is, please just say to our visitors, we miss you. You know, we're preparing for your return. The ocean is calling. You know your area and your stakeholder groups better than we do, but we feel strongly that reaching out with messages like this will be helpful. We want you to reach out to your industry peers and your nearby companies. Who's in the block in which you're located? And then who does what you do? I realize you may be technically competing with some of your industry peers, but now, quite frankly, is not the time for competition. Now is the time to make sure we all are prepared to emerge. And so I encourage you to connect, to collaborate, and to rise together. If you are at odds with someone, I would even consider now, it's a good time to mend a fence and see how collectively you might be stronger to weather this storm. I never have the right or best idea in our team meetings. It is always this collective suggestion that comes together and forms something. So this is a stakeholder group for which you should reach out. Again, your industry peers and nearby companies. I would also reach out to local leaders and the public. Now, the public's a wide audience there, but your local leaders. My husband used to be elected, and it was probably for every one call that he got that was good job, it was like 100 that was the opposite. And so I encourage you again to leverage your margin, the time that you may have down, to just show some gratitude, some encouragement. Maybe you offer to be available to see what they need. You don't know that they're looking for your skill set until you ask. And then really with the public, I would encourage you to share your activities encouragement again just in a wide way. So I looked at the stats from last week. COVID-19, just on Twitter in the last 2 weeks, had nearly 200 million mentions. So it's what people's talking about. So let's talk about it. And then you're using Zoom right now, this platform we started meeting once this virus broke. If you search Zoom plus meetings since February, they've had 1 million social engagements. That's up almost 10,000%. And if you're not using Zoom, it's great. I would suggest it. We have leveraged it well for teams. And then LinkedIn is really hungry for thought leadership. And there's a lot of it going around. And sometimes I see people who want to be an expert on everything, but you really do have something to contribute. And so I would suggest, encourage you to reach out that way. One, being very targeted to your local leaders to encourage them, show some gratitude, ask how you can help, but just the public in general while you have this downtime. Now, before we get to Retool, I want to talk about those stakeholder groups again. So we mapped out stakeholder groups that you should consider ranking. I think for all of us, employees are going to be number 1, probably customers number 2, but then you can number them down the way that you would. But I encourage you to list them out. And you can't do this all in one day, but we often list out in an Excel document or even on a sheet of paper your top stakeholders, and then you decide who gets a call and who gets an email, and do a few each day. They will get easier and easier and less awkward the more that you do them. But if you're not reaching out to them and shaping your message, somebody else is. Or if you go dark, we are going to think the worst right now. And so that's the last thing that we want. So reaching in and reaching out to your stakeholder groups, in all things, you've got to be honest and authentic and just tell it like it is and wish people the best. Now, while you're doing that, we have to retool, all of us. And so I want you to consider how you're going to adapt to the new normal. I chuckled last night in my, I think it was Twitter feed, when I saw my Wild Birds Unlimited store doing curbside delivery for birdseed. Like, they have adapted to the new normal, and I can just call and place the order and pick it up at the curbside. Now, I don't know the future, but what do you want to bet people ask that continues after we emerge? Because the last thing I like is lugging that big thing of birdseed out of the store because I'm not strong. And so if they continue to do curbside loadings, that would be great. We all have to think about how we're going to retool. So brainstorm with your team. Get everybody's input. I remember one time we had an assistant join a team retreat for planning. And this would be a person that maybe you might call a secretary or something like that. This was long ago. She had never participated in anything like that before, but I counted on her. And so I wanted her to come. And she was the one with the best idea of all of us. She had just never been asked before. So I encourage you to brainstorm with your team. Take an online course. Our parent company is pushing that hard. They want all of us to be, I think, Excel wizards and know how to use the formulas by the time we emerge from this, but they want us to use our downtime to be ready to launch when we emerge. So take some online courses. There are all kinds of free ones out there. Even public speaking courses, you can do that coaching over Zoom. Look for new partnerships. With whom could you partner to do what? Casey knows it's been in my heart to launch a podcast. It's now going to be a podcast/Zoom meeting, I think, but I'm going to try to launch that Monday. And I'm partnering with several different people this week to get that ready. It might not be pretty, but we're going to launch it and we're going to try it. And it's going to take some partnerships. And then pick up what you've been putting off. Maybe you know your websites needed to be revamped and you haven't done it. Or maybe you really need to look at your collateral and rewrite it or take some new photos of your facility, or I don't know what, but you know what it is. And so use this time to retool and get better and get stronger. And then reinforce by giving back. This is a time when all of us are going to have to think about, what can we do? We need to get involved, whether it is helping the local food bank with their curbside delivery, or using your skill set to strengthen others. You might be a CPA that, normally you'd be really busy right now, and now taxes have been kicked back and people are concerned about times, and maybe you can help them, I don't know, even understand the small business loans. Lots of small companies are going to have questions about how they can access that, and maybe people who are just self-employed, maybe they can only do unemployment. I don't know the difference here, but I'm saying there are people with that knowledge base that could give back and help all of us recover from this. And we're not going to forget the goodwill that you do. We're just not. And that's who we're going to go to when we need to hire people when we emerge. And then just check in and stick together. Again, think about the footprint where your company, your location is, or where you serve, and expand a little bit and try to check in and stick together with those folks and ask them how you can help. So you're reaching in, you're reaching out, you're retooling, you're reinforcing by giving back. There's a lot of goodwill in the Grand Strand. I asked Casey just to snapshot some suggestions for me. And so your Chapin Library, Miss Catherine does story time. The Conway Elementary teachers, lots of schools we're seeing holding these parades. You've got a local distillery that's producing hand sanitizer during the virus outbreak. Casey produced it was a Word document with a lot of examples. So there's a lot of goodwill that's going on out there. There's nothing wrong with sharing someone else's goodwill. And so if you see something that needs to be shared, I'd share it on your own channel. It might not have anything to do with you, but there's nothing wrong with that right now. So how are we going to give back? Well, here's what we've decided to do. Every Monday in April, 10:30 this time, we're going to open this Zoom line, and we're going to do free group coaching sessions. We're going to discuss current tactics that we're seeing. We're going to answer any questions. We're going to help you brainstorm for 30 minutes free every Monday in April. If you'd like to be a part of that and get a reminder, you can email Casey. Her email address is there below. It's casey@npstrat.com to participate. Again, casey@npstrat.com to participate. And we're going to welcome as many people as we can. I think we can get 100 people on here. And I don't know how effective that would be with 100, but we'd extend it if we had to. But I want us to give our skill set to you. And that's the best way that we can do it, is to share the ideas that we're seeing really from working with some of the best brands in America weather this storm. And we're blessed to have really strong, big brands as clients, and that will help us weather the storm. That also gives us access to their database, and they're people who are smart and on it. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is to attend tomorrow's webinar on employment issues. Again, it happens to be from our parent company, Nexen Pruitt, and Melissa Spence, who works with me in our Charleston office, will be talking about furloughs and layoffs, implications under the new stimulus bill, and the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And I have been watching the employment group work 24/7. They're meeting constantly with group emails, because day by day, these policies and regulations are changing, and it impacts us. You might miss out on an opportunity if you don't stay abreast of this. So the Myrtle Beach Chamber is promoting that. I would encourage you to participate in that if you have time, and I think it will be recorded if not. And I am going to just be quiet for a moment, and actually I think I'll stop sharing. And then we will answer any questions. I think I might see one question or chat down there, Casey. I'm gonna let you drive on that.
Yeah, there is, for anyone who is not familiar with Zoom, we're all learning it, I feel like. At the very bottom of your screen is something that says chat or Q&A. If you have any questions about anything Heather said, you can comment it there and we can see it and answer those. Heather, Diana asked, how often should we be reaching out to our stakeholders?
Good question, Diana. Depends on who they are. So my best clients, I'm talking to almost every day. Now I have, one of them is in one of these industry sectors that is at risk according to the Brookings Institute. And they have about 800 people on site right now. And so last night we were working on some letters, travel letters for people coming in from out of state. And so if it's your best and you work with them a lot, you know, I would say several times a week. But if it's someone like the Matthews family that just comes to your facility every year, I'd say like every 2 weeks probably right now. I check in with them this week and then just send them another, hey, here's an update from Myrtle Beach. Hope you're well. That doesn't necessarily have to be a call. That could be an email. But I think your frontline calls go to those most important customers or stakeholder groups. If you have laid off people, if they're not working right now, I'd be checking in with them every single week. I would be trying to stay up on what the community is offering so you can then tell them. We serve a food bank that serves 20 counties in the state. And so we're watching them have very special programs for people laid off from restaurant work, from other hospitality venues, veteran hour, senior hour. And if you can stay up on those, then you can tell your employees what's available and, you know, try to help them stick together so they will come back to you when you're ready to hire them back. And I know you will be able to hire them back at some point. It might not feel like it now, but I just really believe we will be stronger and better just like we were after 9/11. It's just going to take a rallying of us until we get there. And those of you in leadership, you're going to be doing double time right now. But that's how you're wired, and that's why you're in the position that you are. So depending on that's not a very good answer, Diana, I'm sorry, but depending on the importance of the stakeholder group, again, every week or every other week. On social channels, that's free. And that, you know, that really takes no time. And, you know, if next week everyone just wanted to talk about using Hootsuite and social stuff, we'd be happy to do that since it's free, relatively and easy.
We have no other questions at this moment, unless anyone has anything else.
Well, the only downside about Zoom is I can't see all the attendees, but I know you're there. And I just really wish you the best. I pray that you're strong and very courageous, and that you press on, and that you rally together, and that Myrtle Beach has a grand reopening when it reopens, because the end is in sight. We just have a little bit more time of slogging through the swamp, as I like to say it, but we're going to get there. So we'll be available in closing every Monday, 10:30 a.m. We're going to open this Zoom line, and we're going to be here to answer any questions or give you any type of advice or encouragement we can. And if you'd like to participate, you can reach out to the chamber probably, or to Casey, CASEY @npstrat.com. Wish you the best, and a thank you for participating today.